What's up guys, it's Project and Capcom just released a new video of Monster Hunter World. It's basically the same mission we've seen or heard about 100 times before, but in better quality, in English, and focused more on solo play hunting the Anjanath. There is a lot of new stuff shown, however, if all you've seen was the reveal trailer and missed the Japanese multiplayer preview on the 20th of June, but I'll be covering all the new juicy bits of info that came out in this footage compared to the Japanese one. The quality of the video is still not as sharp as I'd like, looks a bit fuzzy, but Gamerside uploaded their version and it looks sharper than the YouTube one. Not an advertisement, but I'll leave a link to both the normal official video YouTube video as well as to Gamerside's website for you to download the 1080p uncompressed version of the footage if you wanted in the description below. But video quality aside, this game looks dang good, y'all. In this video I'll be taking the bigger snippets to cover the most striking and important things shown off. There's not much to really be interesting to new players outside of seeing this gameplay for the first time if you haven't seen the Japanese stream, but old-time fans familiar with the game should get a kick out of the new stuff. First off, we got to see Anjanath's armor set for the first time. It looks really awesome, a knightly look, designed very similar to Raytheon's armor, at least the helm. Armor sets in Monster Hunter are usually forged from parts of a certain monster, and their design reflects the monster's design as well as the effects. So killing Anjanath a certain amount of times should give you enough parts to forge this full armor set you see here. This is the fun aspect of the games, hunting until you make badass gear to hunt even harder monsters to make even cooler gear. Anjanath's armor set is highly resistant to fire, however is weak to water element, which means the same goes for Anjanath itself, so get your squirt guns ready when you face them. They've also confirmed we can swap to individual pieces of armor at the base camp, or what's known as the tent menu, so not just save sets or loadouts like some have thought. Skills are in, but it looks like they're being handled differently this time. In past games, each armor piece had a set amount of effects with numbers next to them, usually 1 to 3, either positive or negative. These effects are not activated, however, until you get a total of 10 points of that effect, usually meaning you'd have to wear the full set, or you'd plug in what's called jewels, which give a benefit and a negative, such as attack +1, but also defense -1. So you'd have to mix and match and play around with armor sets and jewels to get 10 points to activate, say, attack up small. The same went for negatives, however, you tried not to get defense -10, as that would lead to defense down. It was all kind of clunky, and most people resorted to online applications like Athena's armor set program to do the critical thinking for them. Now it seems you get some kind of effect from individual pieces themselves immediately. Seen here is the Anjanath helm, and in the bottom on the right menu it shows attack boost level 1 under skills with 7 nodes, the first being lit up, so presumably 7 levels. Then the chest gave the effect of fire resistance, which had 3 levels to it, and lastly equipping the gloves gave fire attack with 5 levels to it. When the player equipped the torso armor, however, which also had the attack boost skill effect, their heavy bowgun attack went up from 155 to 159. So presumably every level of the attack boost skill will raise your attack, similar to all the other stuff that the Anjanath set gave. So I really like this change since it means you won't be stuck ineffective if you are only able to forge a couple pieces of a set. I imagine there's also some way to raise the level further, as Jan's set only gave 2 bars of attack boost despite wearing the complete set. We can assume jewels or some kind of new mechanic will allow you to raise it further, or it could just be they're still working on the system and the stats and skills you see aren't final. What they've also confirmed is there's no different types of sets now between Blade Master and Gunner. They are now shared, meaning you won't have to make separate sets for Gunner, and your defense is likely similar to Blade Master as the player switched from Hunter to Anja gear and the defense was the same at 81. It could mean that those sets are simply both Blade Master and Gunner compatible, however, we'll have to wait and see. Do note that having the greatsword equipped gave a weapon bonus of physical damage lessened, while equipping the heavy bowgun reduced elemental damage instead. This is a new mechanic, so it's interesting to see whether that's simply a difference between ranged or melee, or whether weapons will have individual effects they give. And lastly, wrapping up this armor section, the biggest change I like is the freaking separate sections for gear. About damn time. In previous games, all your gear was thrown in a big box, and it's all cluttered and stuff. Yeah, you can sort it sort of manually or by weapons, but it was still all in one box. Now it's separate, so you can only see and choose from gloves in the glove section, weapons in the weapon section, etc, etc. This is an awesome change and step forward for the series, as crazy as that sounds considering it's pretty common sense for most modern RPGs and the like. While we're still in the tent, however, they showed off a new ghillie suit, probably the most OP mantle yet, the Rock Steady Mantle. Its effects are seen on the side with an active uptime of 1.5 minutes with a 4-minute cooldown. It has earplugs to prevent you from flinching when a monster roars, no idea if it's high grade or not. It prevents tremors from making you stumble when the ground is shook from the environment or a big monster attack, and you also take reduced damage, it seems. So it's a very powerful mantle. Seen here is also a new preview video thing similar to Neo previewing skills. Pretty nice for them to have that for the various weapons or mantle uses so you can get a taste of how they play. You also had a very good look at the Palicos, our feline friends in the Monster Hunter universe that help fight alongside you in solo play. They're so freaking adorable now. The player changed its gear to a Palico armor version of Anjanath's as well, which looks super cool and kawaii. In the Palico menu was a thing called Vigor Wasp Spray, assuming that's a type of healing your Palico will do when you're low in health. Vigor Wasp being a bug holding a green blob seen later in the preview that insta-healed the player when they touched it, and had a lingering mist that presumably will heal anyone stepping in it for a brief moment. Sticking with Palicos, however, we saw them fight with you for the first time. As seen here, it's actually busted out some tank contraption and was fighting with that. Really cool. And lastly, when you fly back to your base camp, your Palicos will also hop on top of you before you take off. Oh my god. Kawaii! 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 Freaking! Those cats are cute. So all that comprised of the most interesting stuff showed off in this demo. Thanks to the new clarity of the footage, we got a sharper look at the HUD and various items the player had available to him. He used a lot of the standard stuff from past games. All the healing items are present, like Mega Potion, Herbs, and Max Potion. There was a new item called Vigor Wasp Delivery. I assume this is an actual command for your Palico, as the Palico icon is over it. Perhaps that means we can order our Palico to heal us when we want to? I don't know. Will be kind of neat though, but I hope they heal us automatically as well like they usually did before in past games. Likewise for gunners, the normal ammo types are present like you would expect. You also have the option to use the radio wheel to quickly select an ammo type, it seems. The Gatling gun fire is a special ammo type for the specific heavy bowgun at least. It's not infinite and it drains as you use it, so you have to use it sparingly. They've also demonstrated an interesting ammo type called Wyvern Fire, very similar to Gunlance's Wyvern Fire that hit for huge damage against the Anjanath and eventually took it out with a killing blow. Really cool. The player had 25 minutes to hunt, and a little pop-up warned you of when it was getting close to timeout. It appeared at 5 minutes remaining. The one thing I don't really like is the clock size. I wish it was bigger. It looks too puny, especially compared to the mini-map. Speaking of the map though, next to it you actually see multiple monsters show up, not just large like we presumed. And when locking onto the monster, it shows an animation on the icon of the monster near the map of you locking onto it. Hopefully that means we can also lock onto small monsters too, unlike past games where you had to manually aim, which is fairly difficult for some weapons like Greatsword or Longsword when you're trying to hit jaggies and stuff, small stuff like that. Speaking of lock on though, it appears you can lock onto specific parts of a monster's body, as the icon didn't just go to the center like past Monster Hunter games. A reticle showed up on Anjanath's head and body, so you can quickly lock onto body parts you'd actually want to hit. And lastly for the HUD, as mentioned in my last Monster Hunter World video, there is heartbeat signifying a monster's health. The bigger the spikes are in the heartbeat, the healthier it is. The closer it is to flatlining, the weaker it is. During the Rathalos fight when he dropped Anjanath, Anjanath's life alert was very low due to the massive damage it took, while Rathalos had big and healthy spikes in its life alert. So this should help players decide to tackle one monster over another, since they now know which is weaker, so you can say, okay, this Baroth is weaker than this Zinogre, so we should target the Baroth and finish it off. That way we only have to fight Zinogre. And obviously when it's low, you'll know when it's close to capture too, so it's a pretty cool feature. Some people might take issue with it, but I'm fine with it. After that, it pretty much played out like past previews, following Anjanath, using the environment to your advantage, using lots of tools to help you like the slingshot and stuff like that, tracking the monster with scout flies, etc. They did show off some new cool areas of the map we haven't seen yet. Lots of random miscellaneous wildlife is seen scouring the areas too, like various birds and mammals. It all looks lovely in my opinion. Greatsword has some flashy double charge attack, it was pretty cool. It's interesting that the player did not use much charge attacks in this footage, and I think it was deliberately. His greatsword's main damage output is charging its attacks and hitting for lots of damage in a single hit. Meanwhile, the player was using its weakest moves, the single strikes and slashes. I imagine they didn't want to kill the mhf too fast, so they prolonged the demo by staying clear of that. So just be aware that they could have killed the monster much faster, but they held off to show you more stuff. I know veteran hunters will complain about how the player sucked, but if you think about it, it's probably how most of the newer players will play like, so it's more accurate in demonstrating what an average player would do at this point in the game, so I'm fine with it being more realistic that way. But yeah, other than the armor thing, not much new stuff that you haven't already seen from the past demo. They plan to have playable demos to the public or press at Gamescom next month, but it's likely this same map and monster to hunt. But hopefully, they surprise us and show off a new monster. That's what we all want to see right now, is a new monster. At the very least, we'll get to see the other weapons get some use from people that play the demo at Gamescom, so there's that to look forward to. And that, my hunters, wraps up this video. Very exciting stuff, and glad to see it finally have clean footage. The footage seen in this video is from Gamerside's feed, so make sure to check the description if you want to have the best quality that I think of this trailer, of this footage, whatever you want to call it. It looks like a blast to play, and while the stealth parts aren't crucial or mandatory, it is a potential fun way to play the game time to time to emulate Metal Gear. But let me know what you guys think. Has the newest footage excited you? Does Anjanath seem cooler now? Sound off in the comments below. There is one major thing I'd like to see them address that they haven't yet, but I'll make a separate video for that later down the road. If you like Monster Hunter World and found this video useful, leave a like, and of course, subscribe for more Mon Hunt epicness.